welcome to Talking About It. I'm John Griffith.
I'm Cara Kilduff, and we are joined by Dr. Jacqueline Gunn and Carlo DeCarlo, authors of the book Bear, Psychotherapy Stripped. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Verbal diarrhea before the cameras were on and whatnot. I'm halfway through the book. It's amazing, you guys.
Yeah.
It's so good. Go.
No, it's not what you would expect from a title that has the word psychotherapy in it. And what was your approach in turning this type of book inside out?
It was actually my idea. She had asked me to edit the book for her, and I was giving her some suggestions, and I said she was doing it from a teaching perspective for psychology students, and I said, well, why don't we really give them the experience of what it's like to be in a therapist chair rather than having a chapter for each patient like most therapy books have. I said, let's make it so that we follow this therapist over the course of a number of years, and what it's like going from patient to patient, and she asked me to write it with her.
Well, first of all, how did you guys hook up? How did you meet each other? How do you know each other and decide to work together?
We worked together in a restaurant a long time ago, and then we've just been friends
I love this.
forever. Yeah.
So it works. I love that. But the thing I really liked about reading the book is that because of the way you have structured it, is that it does go back and forth, and I like the insights that the therapist, but that you have in the book when you're running and then something pops in your head like, oh, this is the solution to this, and I like that way of, and you get to know these patients. I'm fully invested now. Like, I have to finish reading. I'm fully invested in their stories, and I want to know what happens to them and how you dealt with some really troubled folks, and I find it so fascinating because I love my therapist. I swear, being in New York, like, your therapist is like your hairdresser, at least for me. I'm just like, one of my friends is going to hair school, and he's like, "Are you gonna let me do it?" And I'm like, "No, I've been going to the same person for 15 years. I love her. No." And it's like, my best friend and I share a therapist, which is like so gay. But because we're like, oh, so-and-so looks so cute today. Yeah, she's dressed up, and oh God. But we love her, and I got a phone call today. I love JoJo. And I'm like, me too. What, did you have a good session? Yeah. Anyway, that's just me. You guys are very quiet, and I'm very talky.
That's okay. You're just a ball of energy.
I was very tired on the train, but now I'm just like, I'm ready for this because I really enjoyed this.
Okay, well, let's take a step back and get to the initial concepts of the book. What drew you to start writing?
Well, I had written another book before this one called In the Therapist Chair, it's also written first-person narrative. And after I finished writing that, I thought that I wanted to do something longer, and maybe really push myself as a writer, be more creative, incorporate more ideas. So, but I mean, I guess the basic answer to both of those books is that as both a student of psychology and then later as a psychologist, as a professional, then supervising students, you realize that there's a real sterileness to the psychotherapy textbooks. Techniques of psychotherapy you could fall asleep to. And it doesn't give really the texture of what happens in the room. So when you're a student and you're reading it, it all sounds okay, but then when you're in the room with a live person, you have no idea what to do. And it's terrifying. I mean, people come in, they put their emotional well-beings in your hand, and you've done all the training and you've invested all this time in school, but it's really hard to know how to perform psychotherapy. And so the real purpose of the book is twofold. First, it's to show what it's really like from my perspective as well as the patient's perspective. So hopefully people that are training or already in beginning stages of psychotherapy learn what it's really like in the room and the complexity and all the different things that can come up and how quickly you have to think and how creative you have to be, how flexible you have to be. And then I think the second piece of the book is that the way that I see therapy is that things that people come in for in some way are things that we all struggle with. There are these like universal struggles. I call them existential universal struggles that we all have, and they may look different on different people, which you could see all the patients are so different. And we chose various different difficulties on purpose, so there'd be a wide range of variability. But the bottom line is that on some fundamental level, whether it's problems being close to people, fears of intimacy, or fears of death, loss of meaning, self-consciousness, low self-esteem, these are things that on some level we all struggle with. And so the second part is to maybe, in the same way that good fiction does, tell a story through the use of characters, in this case their patients, that tap into these larger issues so that other people maybe can relate to the struggles and maybe even gain some insight about themselves or have some relief as a result of reading that.
I think you made it, the two of you made this extremely relatable because I have a friend who was in school to get her degree in social work. I feel inarticulate at the moment. And it was just, it brought me back to, reading when, you had mentioned in the book, meeting with students who are under your supervision and so I was already familiar with that just from my friend's experience of being in school, in graduate school, and being under supervision. And I remember her telling me when she started seeing patients, like, oh my gosh, it's exactly what you said. I had all this school, but I didn't know what to do with this one situation. And then the thing that really struck me was, in the book, guys, she talks about you really do have to make it's really fascinating to me what you do, because it's delicate work, I think, being a therapist, especially if you have somebody who's really troubled. Because in the book, she talks about having to call. A patient was a danger to themselves, and you called 911. And my friend had to do this, and I remember how upset she was. She's like, I don't know if I made the right decision. I had to call, an ambulance for a patient, and it wound up being the correct decision. But that was, I can't even imagine. You did get it across that it was kind of not traumatic, but it was
affecting.
Yeah, it was not taken lightly. It wasn't a decision that you were like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this. And
No, that's a big decision.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got up to the story yet where I didn't call 911 and that was the wrong decision.
Which patient?
Anne?
Oh, I'm on chapter 6 right now.
That hasn't happened yet, I don't think.
Yeah, but I'm like reading up to what's going on with. Oh my God. And I really like how you handled. So Dr. Simon Gunn has experience. You have experience with what was it? Forensic
Psychology. I have a master's, and then my doctorate specialization is in forensic.
I find that fascinating. That young man, Ralph, that you treated, that was just like, and the story that, I'm really glad that you made the decision to, he expressed like, oh, I'm going to blow this place up, but not on Sunday because you're never here. That was such a nice relationship. But I love the fact that you tempered that, maybe somebody else would have been like, oh, and marched down and reported that.
I call that alarmist.
Yeah.
And I feel that's the, I don't.
But the fact that. But the fact that you were just like, okay, it's just one moment that he's having and he's upset, and you let him have that moment, and you still had the trust of the therapeutic relationship, and I was really impressed by that. I really like that.
His story gets, I think there's a resiliency, and I think
of all of the people that are in the book, they're all just such
Well, there are
fighters.
a couple that are too resilient. You probably haven't gotten them to yet.
Don't tell me.
Well, one thing that really strikes me is more about yourself, your level of empathy. And
compassion.
Your empathy and compassion, and where the line between that and professionalism is drawn and is a little smudged. What brought that into the book as well?
Well, I guess I think a couple things. I mean, I think the first thing is that my personal style tends to be maybe a little bit blurry, which is probably relative, you know, maybe not so much anymore because there's so many people doing other forms of therapy-like work, like for example, life coaches, where they don't have to have the same kind of boundaries that we do. But I definitely tend to have more flexible boundaries where I sometimes will, you know, if it seems appropriate, like share personal information, share feelings, like I mean, there have been on occasion recently with one person I'm thinking of in particular where I felt really provoked and really angry, and after thinking about it for a long time, I shared it with the patient because I really felt like there was something going on in the dynamic that she didn't mean, and I wanted to make her aware of what my experience was like because she was having problems in a relationship outside of ours. So disclosing things like that, I mean, a lot of therapists wouldn't do that. So that's, the title of Bear is like stripping away the walls of the therapy room and give you the fly on the wall. But it's also about, you know, kind of breaking down the barriers. The traditional, like, doctor-patient, to me, I was trained that way. I was trained psychoanalytically. The boundaries are very important, this doctor-patient, like, hierarchical thing. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't feel natural. I did train that way, so I work that way, and it feels artificial. And I also have a master's degree in existentialism, and from that perspective and like humanistic psychology, it's often useful to take a perspective of collaboration, where it's not I'm the doctor, you're the patient, but more we're on this journey and we're in it together and we're going to work together as hard as we can to work on this. And I think that's probably what you're feeling in the book. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think it was very important for Jackie to bear herself in this book. In most case study books, the therapists don't really talk about their own feelings for the patients, or what's going on in their own life that might affect their decisions, and Jackie felt that wasn't very authentic. That you're not going to get the experience of what it's like without including that.
Well, I think that this book, I think if I was a student, I would find it really helpful because you have broken it down. And the other thing too, I think this is a helpful book because even now in 2015, people, you know, still have misconceptions about, you know, going to therapy, having a therapist, because someone that I work with can be like that, and I'm very candid. I'm just like, I love my therapist. It's been so helpful, and I adore her, and I've grown so much. But I think also this is a good book for somebody who might have preconceived notions about what it is to like go to therapy, because it's like such a New Yorky thing, you know. But it's so
It's a coastal thing, I think.
yeah, but I mean, there's so many of us. We're densely populated. We need it, you know. But I think it's a helpful book for somebody who has no idea what goes on or you know how helpful it is.
Well, I think it transcends the educational aspect.
Absolutely.
In that it's just really, even if you just you want to read it as fiction, I think that's...
It's very easy to get invested in
Immediately,
yes.
like boom, just. Now, did you find yourself being more interested in psychotherapy and what?
Writing this with her?
Yeah.
Well, we lived together for a couple years as roommates while she was in school, so we always talked about...
you know this.
We always talked about therapy, and you know, I've been in therapy. I studied some of it in college, and I've read case study books. It's enjoyable.
I find it fascinating. I'm very, very interested.
It is very
in all of
fascinating.
this.
Get to know yourself a little better, get to know people. But working on it with her was very enjoyable and very affecting for me. I was moved while I was writing by some of the stories. So it's
Well, I liked the two different stories, the two sex workers that you featured, Maxine and Christy, like so different. And I mean, I'm only on chapter 6, but I can't wait to see what happens. And you had made some points that I really appreciated about. It was your own thoughts, like, oh, why are people judged by what they do? And because I have friends that are sex workers, and so I'm a little biased. You know, it shouldn't. I don't think there should be a
I
stigma
know a couple
attached.
of things. I agree. I don't think there should be stigma attached.
I think it's ridiculous, but just you know, the way so far in Maxine's story, she's left Ed, you know, and you're so proud of her, and you're ignoring her black eye, but you're just like, you know, you're like a champion for these people to do well and to get better. It's really moving. Where the book is, I mean, I thought it was just available. It's like real.
It's a real book.
It's a real book. It's not just an ebook.
Yeah.
It's a real
Our
book.
preview copy was an ebook.
Yeah, which this is awesome.
It's
And
available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
get this.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a worthy read.
Definitely.
In putting all this together, what did you learn about yourself?
I mean, for me, I think two things which has happened before. When you sit down to really write the stories of people's lives, it brings up stuff that you wouldn't have noticed before, which happens a little bit when you take notes. But our notes, I don't keep extensively thorough notes, but I mean, it offers a pocket of reflection there. But in writing these, you know, I mean, I learned about myself and my relationship with everyone that I was still working with at the time of writing the book, because it really, in anything in writing, I was in a space that offered that. And also, I think I learned a lot as a writer from writing with Carlo, because I have been writing my whole life, but mostly academic writing, research, and nonfiction, and I really enjoy the creative writing and the lack of rules around. I know there are some rules, but nothing like writing for the EPA stuff. I mean, it's gotten to the point where I don't even care if the semicolon is instead of the period. I just want to be free. But I don't have the training, and so when I would send him things that I wrote, and he would write over what I wrote, he added a lot of descriptive elements to it, and so then he'd send back what he wrote, and I would read it again, and went back, and then when I could see what he did writing-wise, it was like having a free writing class, you know, because then I would read what he wrote, and I would be like, oh, I see how he did, or exactly, because like he'd send, like sometimes he could take a paragraph and shift a few words around, which is an editing thing, but then he also would add, like I thought I was describing something, but I wasn't really doing it well.
Because you knew in your
You're
head.
visualizing.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing things like, I mean, I'm trained as a psychologist, so I report things, and so the patient was anxious. But he, as a writer, was able to add the elements where you don't have to say someone's anxious.
Oh, the girl with
exactly,
the-
right. And so that really, probably more than most anything else, writing-wise, in terms of creative writing, I mean, I really learned a lot. I think I'm a better writer.
Do you guys, do you think you'll collaborate on another book in the future?
Yeah, we've been talking about some other
I want to write
projects.
fiction. I'm trying to get him to. I'm 40 pages into a thriller that I'm trying to get him involved in.
I think you guys really should, because you're a remarkable team. That, like, really, this
Thank you. We were talking about maybe doing a sequel to this. but
Please.
in addition to this fiction that she wants to work on.
Yeah, I think you should, because I'm already like, I'm halfway through and I'm like, they can't just stop here. You know, this is good stuff. This is interesting. I think it's awesome.
It's gratifying to hear that. So that's,
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, aside from the heaps of praise that we are justifiably throwing at you, what has the reaction been?
we've gotten, we actually have gotten a lot of positive reaction. A couple of people didn't care for it, but That has been
That's
very,
gonna happen.
That's their
exactly.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most people have really enjoyed it, and they've also said they like, when are you writing another one? And so now we're just really trying to get the word out, about the book. And
But the way you guys, like, I got sucked in immediately, and now I need to go back and, yeah, it's like, I always like to read like the first sentence of a book, and I'm just like, so that was this may sound outlandish, but I have convinced myself I came into this world already a psychologist. That's great. That's like I would, read more. This is, no, wait. That was just the introduction.
that was the intro.
Yeah.
The Bloomingdale's is the opening.
Yes, yes. And I visualized that so clearly, just when
It's like the story of my life, incidents like that.
you hear somebody calling your name, you're just like, oh, no. And then like, I felt like you're, oh shit, what do I do, what do I do? Like when you run into somebody that you don't want to talk to. And she ran into a patient at Bloomingdale's, and she was just kind of like, oh shit.
Well,
It
one thing-
happens.
Yeah. One of the things that is a note of a really good book for me is when the hole in the page, when I stop seeing the words and I'm seeing the movie in my mind, and that happened very easily for me. So that's another reason why I would definitely highly recommend that you definitely check this out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And the outlets that it's available at again?
You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. I think it's available Google Books and
Yeah, Google Books.
iTunes.
So all the
ebook
major
versions.
digital formats.
Yeah,
as well
some
as
independent bookstores too. I mean, most people probably
any
gone
physical
to
bookstore
Amazon
can order
and
it.
Barnes and Noble.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's something really cool about a physical book, because it's like,
I agree.
it's real. It's like, ugh,
I still read mostly physical books. I do some ebooks, but mostly physical
like,
books.
how did you guys feel like, I did this, we did this? Like, that's a great feeling, no?
Yeah, it is. It's a great feeling.
It's an accomplishment.
It's it feels good to finish something and to have something to hold.
My dad's a writer, so whenever he finishes a book, I get one, and I'm just like, ugh, it's like nice to, because I see how hard he works, and
Yeah,
then to
it's a lot of
finally
work.
have it in hand, Well, where can people find out more about you guys? I know you have a website.
Yeah, but it's like antiquated with cobwebs. I mean, it really either should be taken down or updated.
You're on Facebook, though.
I am on Facebook.
I thought you were on the show before because we're Facebook friends, and I can't remember like how that came out, because I remember it was like, oh yeah, boom, I know this person, and so I don't know, maybe I met you someplace, I don't know, someplace else.
Maybe we have mutual friends.
I know
Maybe
we do.
were-
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bear has its own Facebook page.
Really?
So that's good.
So-
Bear Psychotherapy Stripped.
So go on to the Face Place and like their page. Does it give more information about?
Yeah,
Like what
updates
we're
on the
doing
page.
and-
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And you could always reach out to us on ours, which is facebook.com/talkingabout, and we will definitely point you in the right direction. Plus, on our website, talkingabout.info, there's a whole lot of shows and segments on there, and this segment will be up there. So if you're tuning in on the old style cable TV type thing and you missed the beginning of the show, check out talkingabout.info and
Are we
Find
taking?
us.
Are we accepting calls?
do we have one?
Well, I don't know. but
718-460-9802. We have about 5 minutes left if you want
Well-
to give us a ring.
Because if I was at home watching this right now, I would be like, let me ask them a question. That's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I always forget to give out the number, but that's just me.
Well, I was thinking about it today, and I was like, I hope we have people call in. This is good. This is interesting. There was something else I was going to ask you guys. I'm like, I need to eat.
I get like that too.
I'm just like, well, the Facebook page that you'll definitely put when the second book comes out for follow up to this. You'll let us all know.
Yes,
All right.
we will put it out.
And
Yeah.
a good Googling and a good binging, and then people can find out more about
Tweeting.
you. and-
Also, tweet on Twitter, and also we both have Amazon pages, so any work that
Oh,
we've done
awesome.
is up on Amazon, like His is
Right.
Carlo,
And
DeCarlo,
Goodreads,
mine's
too.
Jacqueline, Simon Gunn. Yeah, good read author page also.
You like to ask people questions on Facebook, like Dr. Jackie will ask a question, and it's like I see them, and I don't ever respond. And I'm like, that's a good question, and then I wind up thinking about it, and I'm just like, do people respond? Like,
Yeah, sometimes it turns into a great dialogue. I mean, I'm very curious by nature. In fact, my husband and my dad are both like, the questions, because they tell half a story. I mean, how can you tell me a story? So-and-so broke up with his girlfriend and got thrown out of his apartment. Well, what happened? I don't know.
What do you mean you
how do you
don't
don't know? And they say that I ask too many questions, but I mean, just in general, like, I think I introspect a lot and I'm curious about a lot of things. I mean, which is a good trait to have as a psychologist. You want to be curious and peel away the layer and more curious. So a lot of times I wake up in the morning and I just have these like crazy ideas. I'm like, well, what is that? Trust me, there are some questions I'd like to post there, but I'm afraid that they'll cause too many fights on my thread, and that's happened before, and I really hate when people start like attacking each other.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's a Facebook thread. You know what I mean?
yeah,
we're
it's not that
It's not
serious.
reality.
Right.
Right.
So I do think about what I post before I post it, how hot it can get, how heated, and I try to not post the really controversial stuff. But yeah, I wake up and I have like the strangest thoughts sometimes. And,
I love that.
It's easier to post it on Facebook than like call all your friends or send out a mass text message.
Exactly.
So I just post it on Facebook and see what happens.
Okay, well, I do want to thank you again for taking the time out of your schedule
You have to come back.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
definitely.
us. Oh, definitely.
In
Love to.
spring or summer.
Yes.
No, it's 0 degrees outside and
Yes.
Oh, because
freezing
it'll be
walk.
nice and cool in here.
And the book again is Bear, and it's available through all of your major online retailers and some specialty bookstores, but any physical bookstore can order it for you. So definitely check that out.
Go to a physical bookstore.
Yes, they are.
Smell great.
I love bookstores.
And thank you again.